The Indianapolis Colts versus Pittsburgh Steelers. This is who's in, who's out, and everything you need to know about this game. So, the 7-1 Colts take on the 4-3 Steelers in Pittsburgh tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern Time in Acrisure Stadium. And for the Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a lot of players out for this week's game who would be starters on their defense. And the Colts have some as well. So, before I get more into who's playing, who's not playing, and the keys to the game, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news and updates. Also, like this video. Now, let's get right into it. So, let's start off with the Pittsburgh Steelers injury report for this week's game. And we're going to start off with the players who are out for this week's game. And that will be Scotty Miller at the wide receiver position for the Steelers. He will be out with a finger injury. He had to get it repaired, and he missed last week's game, and he's also missing this week's. And now, for the defense, we have Jabril Peppers, safety, with a quadricep injury, who he just suffered this week in practice, and he did not participate on Friday, and is out for this week's game. And you also look at Cole Holcomb, he's dealing with an illness, and he did not participate in practice, and he's out as well. We look at Chuck Clark, who's also dealing with the illness. He did not participate in practice, and he's out as well. Other players who are out are Corey Trice Jr. It looked like he may make his return this week, especially with the Steelers needing some help in the secondary. But he suffered a knee injury late in practice this week, even though he was on track to play, and now he's out as well. So he stays on injured reserve. We have Malik Harrison. I'll give you an update on him. He was activated off of injury reserve this week, and he's questionable for this week's game. I would expect him to be out there and maybe playing. So, for the Pittsburgh Steelers side of things, those are the players who are out for this week's game and questionable as well. So, let's move over to the Indianapolis Colts side of things, because they have some injuries as well. And we're going to start off with wide receiver Anthony Gould. He's dealing with a knee injury, and he has been ruled out for this week's game. You also look at defensive end Samson Ebukam with a knee injury. He's also ruled out as well. Now, they have 3 players who are ruled questionable for this week's game or up in the air. For example, Jaylen Jones, cornerback with a hamstring injury. He got activated off of injury reserve, so I fully expect him to be out there, even though he's listed as questionable. And you also look at Taekwon Lewis, defensive end, with a groin injury. He participated in full the last 2 days of this week's practice, so I expect him to be out there as well. If he was limited or did not participate, maybe it would be different, but since he was a full participant, he should be good to go. You also look at defensive tackle Grover Stewart with a foot injury. He fully participated on Friday, even though he did not participate the first 2 days, so I expect him to maybe be out there as well, because he's on track to play. So, that does it for the Indianapolis Colts side of things and their injuries. So, just to recap in general, the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't had this big of an injury report since the first few weeks in the season when all those players were out. And it seems like all the players who are out this week are defensive players, starters on this team. For example, Chuck Clark. The secondary is already missing Deshaun Elliott, who went down with a knee injury, a hyperextended knee, last week. So you would think that those players like Chuck Clark, Jabril Peppers, who were ruled out, would have a bigger impact in this game. And maybe Jabril Peppers was in line to start. But now they are out for this week's game, and the Steelers only have, Juan Thornhill as a safety on this team, because Miles Killebrew is already out with injury. So they have Jalen Ramsey, who they may have to play at the cornerback from cornerback to safety position because they don't have any safeties on this team. They also signed a safety in terms of Forrest this week. So even though he's just coming up from signing with the practice squad and signing this week and basically getting implemented into this defense, he will probably have a big role in this week's game in terms of playing a position with a new team right away. So the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have to rely on defensive players who they maybe wouldn't rely on at certain positions in previous weeks. Maybe this will help the Steelers because it's not like the Steelers defense was doing good either way with with these players. So maybe without them, it maybe makes people have to step up more and play better. Who knows? But that's the injury report for both teams. Who's in, who's out. Now, let's talk about the game actually being played on the field. Because the Colts are a really good team, both on offense, defense, and special teams. So before the season, you may think this is a cakewalk and the Pittsburgh Steelers would absolutely dominate this game, win this game, hands down. But no, now looking at this game, it may be an easy game for the Colts based on how they're rolling. The Steelers can't stop anyone on defense in terms of the run game, pass defense, whatever. They can't stop no one. And what do the Colts do well? Well, they run the ball. Jonathan Taylor is doing absolutely amazing. Maybe one of the candidates for MVP, even though he's not a quarterback, which is out of the ordinary. So the Steelers, they have to let up not huge yardage to him if they want to win this game. So you have to stop the run. But on the other hand, you have Daniel Jones who's going absolute ballistic in terms of the pass game with rookie Tyler Warren, who the Steelers are awful at giving up yardage to tight ends. So you have a tight end who's going to go off probably. You have Michael Pittman who's doing good. You have other players like Josh Downs doing good at the wide receiver spot. Pierce. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, they not only have to worry about one thing for the Colts on offense, but both things, the run game and the pass game. So it's going to be actually a hard game for the Steelers, and this will be a test for them to see if they could bounce back against a really good team. And then when you look at this Colts defense, they are one of the top defenses in terms of getting to the quarterback, getting sacks, getting turnovers, and things like that. So the Colts defense is playing well as well this season. And what do the Pittsburgh Steelers do well? Well, they run the football, right? Well, what did the Colts defense do good? Well, they have DeForest Buckner there in the middle, who's obviously really good against the run, and that's what they do, slow down the run. So the Pittsburgh Steelers' top concerns of what they don't do good is what the Colts do really good, and the Pittsburgh Steelers' top things that they do good is what the Colts do good against. So the Pittsburgh Steelers, I truly believe their offense has been better than their defense this season, so this may be a shootout. The Pittsburgh Steelers may need to put up points and rely heavily on their offense to keep them in the game, and the defense has to do just enough to win this game, which is kind of crazy because this defense is the top paid defense in the entire NFL, and you would think they would be better, but they're not. So relying on their offense is the keys to the game for this week's game. So what did the Steelers have to do? Establish the run game. Even though they're good at the run defense, establish the run game. That's what your best thing is. And then pass off of it, take some shots down the field. And what did the Steelers need to do on defense? I would think in other weeks, it's more so pass defense for the Steelers because their run defense is kind of good, but not good. But their pass defense is just awful. So in other weeks, it would be pass defense. Keep their pass defense in check. But this week, for sure, it's run defense. Run defense with Jonathan Taylor there and the Colts offense line has to be a top priority. So that's the keys to the game for the Steelers. And keys to the game for the Colts, well, basically just do what you've been doing every single week. Just play exactly how you've played. Run the ball, pass the ball off of it, and then take shots down the field, continue doing your run defense. And to be honest with you, the Colts should and are favored in this week's matchup because the Pittsburgh Steelers are just playing terrible, playing trash all around, and then the Colts are playing fantastic. So, my prediction for this week's game, even though I hate to say it, I think the Colts win this week's game, and it puts the Pittsburgh Steelers at 3 straight losses, and they're going to have to reevaluate their team because that lead that they had in the AFC North will be all but gone after this week's game, as they only would have a 1-game lead after basically having a 3-game lead not too long ago. So they're going to have to reevaluate before the trade deadline, and maybe the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to have to make some changes in certain areas, whether that's players, coaches, or whatever. But this game will be really telling for the Steelers to see if they could even compete in the AFC. Anyway, this is the keys to the game. This is what to look out for, and who's in and who's out. So, if you like this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn notifications for everything Pittsburgh Steelers news, updates, highlights, analysis reports. Everything surrounding this team moving forward, I have you covered all season long. This is the best spot to stay tuned for your Pittsburgh Steelers and to stay updated. And also, before I end this video, Make sure you comment down below who you think wins this week's game between the Colts and the Steelers, score predictions, and stat predictions as well, and your keys to the game on how Steelers can win. Anyway, that is the end of this video, and until the next video tomorrow, I'll see you guys all later. That's it for me. I'm out. Peace.